Chapter 15: The Defense Force, the Police Force, the Intelligence Service, and the Correctional Service. Open bracket. Chapter 15, comparing Articles 115 to 123, is substituted by the Namibian Constitution, Second Amendment Act 7 of 2010. The heading of Chapter 15 is substituted by the Namibian Constitution, Second Amendment Act 7 of 2010, and by the Namibian Constitution, Third Amendment Act of 2014. Close bracket. Article 115, Establishment of the Defense Force, page 59. Article 116, Chief of the Defense Force, page 59. Article 117, Removal of the Chief of the Defense Force, page 60. Article 118, Establishment of the Police Force, page 60. Article 119, the Inspector General of Police, page 60. Article 120, Removal of the Inspector General of Police, page 60. Article 120A, Establishment of the Intelligence Service, page 60. Open bracket. Article 120A is inserted by the Namibian Constitution, Third Amendment Act of 2014. Close bracket. Article 121, Establishment of the Correctional Service, page 61. Article 122, Commissioner General of Correctional Service, page 61. Article 123, Removal of the Commissioner General of Correctional Service, page 61. Chapter 16, Finance. Article 124, Transfer of Government Assets, page 61. Article 125, the State Revenue Fund, page 61. Article 126, Appropriations, page 62. Article 127, the Auditor General, page 62. Chapter 17, Central Bank and National Planning Commission. Article 128, the Central Bank, page 63. Article 129, the National Planning Commission, page 63. Chapter 18, Coming into Force of the Constitution. Article 130, Coming into Force of the Constitution, page 64. Chapter 19, Amendment of the Constitution. Article 131, Entrenchment of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms, page 64. Article 132, Repeal and Amendment of the Constitution, page 64. Chapter 20, The Law in Force and Transitional Provisions. Article 133, The First National Assembly, page 65. Article 134, Election of the First President, page 65. Article 135, Implementation of this Constitution, page 66. Article 136, Powers of the National Assembly prior to the election of a National Council, page 66. Open bracket. The word, quote, national, quote, in the phrase, quote, National Assembly, close quote, is misspelt in the Government Gazette as reproduced above, close bracket. Article 137, Elections of the First Regional Councils and the First National Council, page 66. Article 138, Courts and Pending Actions, page 67. Article 139, the Judicial Service Commission, page 68. Article 140, Law in Force at the Date of Independence, page 68. Article 141, Existing Appointments, page 69. Article 142, Appointment of the First Chief of the Defense Force, the First Inspector General of Police, and First Commissioner General of Correctional Service, page 69. Open bracket. The heading of Article 142 is amended by the Namibian Constitution Second Amendment Act 7 of 2010. Close bracket. Article 143. Existing international agreements, page 69. Chapter 21. Final provisions. Article 144. International law, page 70. Article 145. Saving, page 70. Article 146. Definitions, page 70. Article 147. Repeal of laws, page 71. Article 148. Short title, page 71.